What's up guys, if you clicked on this video then you want to see what is easily the strongest fire build currently in the Elden Ring Shadow of the Erdtree DLC. This is one of those builds that not only looks really cool but is also extremely fun to use and packs quite the punch, as you can see here in the gameplay. I could sit here and try to convince you guys as to why you should equip this, but I'm just going to let all this gameplay play in the background. This is New Game Plus, I'm around level 210. And without any further delay, let's just get right on into what you will need to equip in order to replicate this build here. So starting out, the first weapon that you want equipped is the Blasphemous Blade, upgraded all the way. The Taker's Flame weapon art on this weapon jettisons out this extremely far magma and fire attack. In your other hand, you're going to want to have the Fire Knight seal upgraded all the way. What this seal does in particular is it boosts Mesmer Flame incantations. It also scales with Faith, and the main spell that we'll be using with this specific seal is the Mesmer's Orb attack that you've been seeing in the gameplay up to this point. For the armor, we're going to start out with the helmet, and you're going to want to have the Mesmer's Helm equipped. This helmet will slightly enhance incantations of Mesmer's Fire as well as any Fire Knight skills, which synergizes with the Mesmer's Orb spell that we'll be using. For the chest piece, you're going to want to have the Fire Knight armor equipped, as this will also slightly enhance the incantations of Mesmer's Flame, synergizing once again with the Mesmer's Orb attack. For the arms and the legs, you want to have the Rakshasa pieces equipped correspondingly, as they will increase the damage that you deal to foes. Heading over to talismans, we're going to start out with the Phlox Canvas talisman, as this greatly increases the potency of incantations. Next, we have the Shard of Alexander, which greatly boosts the attack power of skills, which will synergize with the Taker's Flame attack from the Blasphemous Blade Sword. Next, we have the Fire Scorpion Charm, which raises your fire attack. This synergizes not only with the Blasphemous Blade attack, but also the Mesmer's Orb. And then the last talisman you want to have equipped is the Talisman of the Dread, which raises the potency of all magma. This actually does in fact synergize with the Blasphemous Blade Taker's Flame attack. As you can see, there is magma that comes from this attack. In the Flask of Wonders Physic, you want to have the Fire Shrouding Crack tier, as this will temporarily boost fire attacks. And then, like many of my other builds, I like to have the Cerulean Hidden tier equipped, as this eliminates any FP consumption for a short amount of time. Being that many bosses you come up against, you'll just want to pop your Golden Vow, Flame Grant Me strength buffs. You won't have to worry about using any of your FP. But also it synergizes with this build because you'll actually be using your Mesmer's Orb spell. Now in reality, if you just wanted to melt a lot of enemies, you could technically use this build only with the Blasphemous Blade, as it will work just fine. I've actually found that while the Mesmer's Orb is really cool looking and does a pretty significant amount of damage, the entire time that you're up in the air, you are vulnerable to any attack that will knock you out of it, which can kind of ruin a lot of boss fights if you're not careful. This can also be a really good benefit because there are many times where you use the Mesmer's Orb, and as you can see, it will launch you up into the air and you'll actually dodge certain enemy attacks just by being in the air, including stomp attacks from enemies like Godfrey, which can come quite in handy. My preferred gameplay loop when it comes to this build is honestly just to interchange the weapon art of the Taker's Flame from the Blasphemous Blade and the Mesmer's Orb attack, because A, it just looks really cool, but B, many times when you use the Taker's Flame attack, you'll be relatively far away and the Mesmer's Orb will actually allow you to close the distance. And one really cool thing about this spell too is that you can actually kind of change your direction in the air, allowing for some maneuverability. The Mesmer's Orb spell also does a pretty good amount of posture damage, as you can see against these golems here, which is just another really good perk of this build. But yeah, that's really all there is to it. I'm just going to let the gameplay do the talking from this point. This has been one of my favorite builds to use just because of the interesting look of the weapon art and the spell. I also think that all the red going together is a very aesthetically pleasing design. And the fact that there's just so many things synergizing together with this build is just really cool and something that stands out to me a lot. So yeah, that's all there is to it. Hopefully this video was helpful in some way, shape, or form. If you have any recommendations on how to make this build better or how to add to it in any way, please feel free to leave me a comment. And with that, thank you so much for watching.